this seal in here, as you can see, has been leaking. It's been leaking for a while. I cleaned it up a bunch with some degreaser, so it's not fully clean, but it's a lot better than it was. But that seal's been leaking for a while, so we're gonna take the drive line off, remove this yoke, pop that seal out, replace that, and then I mean, I can tell what this was sealed on with. So that'll be fun to get my chisel in there and get that apart. But anyway, we'll get this off, get it cleaned up, look inside there, spray it out, replace it with new fluid. All right, so to get this seal fixed here, we got to get the drive shaft out. I've already got the tools to do that, I think. I may need to grab a pry bar and stuff, but it shouldn't typically be too hard. You take off these 4 bolts that detaches it from the yoke, and then you pull it back, and you want to make sure to wrap the end caps with some electrical tape or something to keep the bearings inside from falling all over the floor and requiring you to buy new stuff. So what we've got here for this job is a 7/16 socket and a run-of-the-mill ratchet. Nothing special. I could probably power tool this off too, but I think it'd be harder to get my impact in here. Plus these are crusty. My favorite part about taking things apart is you don't have torque specs. See. I need to get some zip ties or something. I'm gonna hang this up here off the exhaust. So it's down low enough that it's out of the way, but it's not falling all the way down. When you don't have a zip tie that's long enough, take a bunch of zip ties, stick them together a little bit, and you can create one long zip tie. And then you can tie your drive shaft up. Okay. I gotta get this electrical tape opened up and ready to go so I can wrap up that universal joint. You don't have to go crazy with it. Just get them wrapped up so they don't fall out. That's it. That's the entire goal. And honestly, and maybe I don't need to tie that up because that's sitting on the exhaust pretty nice. So, yeah, okay. Now this has to come off. That is gonna need the impact, okay. Let's see. Believe it or not, I actually have an impact socket for that size. So, the world's full of mystery. I cannot get that greasy bolt out of my socket though. Stuck up inside, got it. Okay, alright, now I need to get this drain under here. We're gonna be a little cramped here in a sec, I think. I don't really know how much this is gonna dump out, but I'm imagining some. Now I should be able to work this out of here. Okay, hardly anything's coming out. Not sure that's a great sign, but you know. Here's the yoke removed. Get that cleaned up before we get it back in. All right, now we're onto the differential fluid. This is a 1/2-inch socket and I don't have an impact for that, but these shouldn't be on too terribly tight either. So. I guess a job for hand tools. I need one of those, you know, the ratchets, the electric ratchets. I don't have one of those. That would be a good present for Father's Day. Throwing it out there. The fluid doesn't look filthy, but I can't see but a tiny stream of it. So, and also we can't see what's in the bottom of the differential yet. We will. Promise you. It's coming. I mean, at least you can tell by looking at this, it's been serviced before. I can see where someone pried at it from up on the top, and I can tell by this RTV, you know, not that GM couldn't do an RTV job like this, but they probably didn't. I need a chisel and a hammer. All right. Got the magnet in here. Let's see if I can show it to you. That's it right there. And you can see there's a little bit of sludge. Just a little bit. And that's just tiny, tiny pieces of metal that it picks up that would otherwise have been run through the differential over and over and over again. And with a limited slip differential, probably don't want that. But the nice thing is there's no big chunks, and there's not even that much little chunks, or chunks, no, the shavings. So, I mean, it seems like the rear end's in pretty good shape. The gears all look really good. I can't rotate it because it's on its wheels, so I can't turn it. But I mean, from what I see right here, just staring at it, I think it's all right. Yeah. It all seems fine. So now, gotta get my tool for prying the seal off the front, and then the fun begins. All right, so the parts arrived from Rock Auto yesterday, and I opened them up just to make sure they were all there. So I'm sorry we don't get to do a Rock Auto unboxing, but this channel's not known for that anyway. So, one thing I found, you can actually order your gear oil right from Rock Auto. It may or may not be cheaper, like the oil, the transmission fluid and stuff. I'm gonna get that from Walmart because that's where you get cheap stuff from. But this was $4 a bottle, I think. So that was a great deal. 2 bottles, you know. Oh, yeah, what magnet did I get? What the heck? All right, James. I mean, I guess if you submit it, they'll put it on a magnet, because here it is. Some kind of Mazda station wagon. To be honest, I don't know what that is. So, that's great. I like wagons. They're very cool. I've wanted one for a very long time. Honestly, I keep trying to convince myself that I don't need an Audi RS6, and then I see one, and I think I need it again. But I have a hard time breaking open my pocketbook for $100 and something thousand wagon. So, I don't know. Leave a comment. Do I need a $100,000 station wagon? Maybe. Maybe. They sent a box that's like 2 foot by 18 inches by 1 foot for this tool, this seal, that magnet, and those 2 bottles of lubricants. You tell me. That best practice? I don't know. I'm not in shipping. Anyway, so hopefully this works. I didn't have one already. I know there's seal pullers you can go rent from the auto parts store, but I do so many differentials. I mean, you've seen a couple videos already, I think. If you haven't, well, I've done them. It doesn't matter whether you've seen it or not. It doesn't change the facts. All right, so let me get around to the front and see if I can pry this seal out. Oh, got it moving. There we go. Okay. Out she comes. Along with a bunch more differential oil. Now, I don't know. Now I can't tell because I damaged it up pretty bad, you know, in the removal process, but yeah, I don't know. Can't tell if this is what was causing the leak, but cheap insurance. Put it in there. I might have to go and get some brake clean so I can clean up around this seal. What I like to do is get a paper towel or shop towel or something and get in there and scoop the diff fluid towards the exit. I don't know if that's the right way, but it's what I do. And then that way it stops dripping so I can get a nice clean surface all the way around. Obviously I'll get in here and scrape all this junk off. There's our TV here. And I gotta clean up the cover as well. You know, you just go around and clean it up. Unless you want to redo it immediately after doing, in which case, you know, don't clean it up. But yeah, I mean, it's not that tough. Go around, clean it up. If it's got any big burrs or anything in it, I mean, I can tell people have been in here a few times. There's a few gouges from where people have pried this off. I didn't do these are old. Also, I didn't pry from down there, I pried from over here. I usually try to pry from where these tabs are. I think maybe the case is stronger there, plus you got something to pry against. I don't know. But I don't have the rest of the stuff I need to do this job right now. Thought I had everything, but I don't. I can probably get the new seal back on though. Get this cleaned up over here. And then do that. Oh God. I don't know if you can see this crap falling off of here, but man. It's shocking how filthy this is. Okay. I did see some people talk about the inner seal. I don't think, oh gosh, that is got a lot of slop. Ah, dang it. How much play should that have? Not that much? Ah, dang it. Oh man. I'm pulling out another part so we can look at it. Because if it's worn, I probably have to go and order this. Like I said, people did talk about an inner seal that could also be worn, and I was like, nah, no way, not on my car. Well, maybe. I don't think so. Clean this. So it's not really an inner seal, right? It's an inner bearing. And I think what's happening is this was allowed to back out because it's conical. It was backed out a little bit. It hasn't played because that other seal that gets pounded into place was gone. So that's my guess. I'm still gonna, I clean this up. Actually, maybe I shouldn't clean this up. Maybe I should leave it alone because it's already got nice lubrication. All the rollers seem to be, oh man, is that rust? Don't tell me it's rusty. Maybe. I don't know. I gotta wipe this down. There might be some hot spots in here, and this looks like there might be rust coming out of it. So if that's the case, this needs replaced. Okay, yeah, I mean, you can see here there's a ton of rust coming off of this, and some of these rollers actually don't roll that well, and it looks like on the inside, I don't know if I can show you, there's some corrosion and possibly some hot spots where this wasn't always turning like it should be. I'm gonna replace it. All right, small miracles. I looked at Rock Auto, and one of these is like $10, which isn't bad. But then I gotta wait for it, and it's gotta ship. So, but I want to show you something. So this is the one that I took out of the car, and I don't know if you can see that play there, but it's there. And here's the new one that I got from O'Reilly, which doesn't have any play. So, and also doesn't bind up when I spin it. So I just got to get some lubrication on this. I don't know if you're supposed to pack these with grease, probably not. But I'll probably just put some of my gear lube on it, but this spins nicely. The other one does not do that. Thank you for the brake clean.
Brake parts cleaner.
Yes. This is gonna take a bit. I'm just gonna scrape this seal off. I don't even need to watch it, so go look at a picture of a penguin or something. Okay, I got this cleaned up pretty good. You can clean it better than that, but you know, do whatever you want. Don't let pretty good not be good enough for you. Would be my advice, but you know, do whatever you're comfortable with. I cleaned it up better than it was cleaned up before. I know that because there was still some red gasket material on it. And the gasket material that was used the last time it was put on was the gray stuff that I'm going to be using this time. So, obviously, it hadn't been leaking, despite having remnants of the gasket from 2 installs ago on it. So, you know, it worked. There's a lot of ways to clean them. If you have a method that's your favorite, do that. If you have a friend or family member who's recommended you to do something a certain way, great. I'm not here to argue with them either. Do it that way. If you don't have any of those things, here's what I do. Took it off. I used my chisel, use any sharp thing, a knife, whatever. Got the big chunks off. Then I grabbed a razor blade and I scraped all the small stuff off. Being gentle and going flat against the surface as I could and dragging it and just trying to get as much of the seal off. Once I had that, I took a red Scotch-Brite and went around and cleaned up the edge. It's the fastest way that I've found to do it. There's probably faster ways. There's probably easier ways. Might even be better ways. I don't know. But that's my method. It works for me. And if you don't already have one, give it a try. You might like it. Who knows? All right. I want to get this in, but I want to get some gear lube on it first. Luckily, I got a couple of these bags, which I didn't realize I may even have enough of this from when I did the Subaru to do this one, but you know, that's fine. And I don't know if this is completely necessary. But in my experience, it cannot hurt to pre-lubricate parts. So, all right. Okay. All right. you see my rag? Oh, it's down there? Okay. Thanks. All right. I gotta turn the lights on. I'm just spraying brake clean on the rag to get this pinion cleaned up. And I'm doing it that way just because I don't want to undo all of what I just did, lubricating up that part. But I need this seal mating surface to be clean as possible. You always want your seals to be on clean stuff. I'm just taking this wire brush to get some of this corrosion off that had occurred by virtue of this sitting for a while, and maybe some of the gunk that would prevent the seal from sealing properly. Okay. Yeah, there's some real junk in here. All right, it's gonna have to do. So this is what I was just cleaning up. And we've got this new seal going in there, and it's pre-lubricated. So what we need to do, we need to figure out how to get that on there. Need a mallet. Probably just gonna have to. I did look so better for this one. That should be okay. Yep. Okay. Now, luckily, if you're patient and you just keep going around the edge, you can work it in there. It's fine. It's fine. That should seal. No problem. If it doesn't, I'm the one who has to get in here and do it again, so I'm willing to accept the risk. Okay. Just cleaning up the yoke. It's mostly just this bearing surface I'm trying to clean. It looks okay, which is good because, like I said, there was some corrosion. And if it wasn't okay, then, I mean, maybe I could clean it up with some emery cloth or something, probably. But I don't think any of that's gonna be necessary. It's cleaning up real nice with just a rag, and then I'm using my wire brush to dig out the crud. I didn't mark the orientation of this, which was my bad. So what I have to do is try to put it back as best I can. Seems like something's missing. Doesn't even barely fit in there. No. Where's this guy? There we go. All right, while you were away, I was adjusting torques and preloads and all kinds of things. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. So it happened. Now I've got this gray stuff and the cover, and we gotta get this sealed up. Oh man. All right, I just jammed some needle nose pliers in it to get the tube started again. So I'm gonna run a bead around this and then smooth it with my finger a little bit. My opinion, still want to have some meat on it, so it's got something to bite onto, but it doesn't have to be a ton. And if you take one of these off, you'll know what I mean, because you'll see how much is actually on the mating surface as opposed to how much squeezed out the sides. And I'm not saying, you know, be stingy with it. Don't be stingy. You can always buy more sealant. And if you don't get it sealed right, you're going to be. So, no, by all means, use enough. I'm just saying you don't have to use it all. And if you want to buy a gasket for this, you can. They do sell them. I don't like them. I think they make the job harder, and they don't tend to, I'm not gonna say they leak or they're inherently bad, but in my experience, I haven't noticed them making it easier to do the job or doing it any better. Some people may have their own anecdotal evidence. That's mine. But basically, I just got a nice frosting layer on there. just go over and plop it on, more or less. You want to try to get it straight on. Try not to get a bunch of sealant on your gears. And then now this next part is going to be probably the most controversial for people. Because while I showed you the fluid and everything, I'm not actually going to be putting it in today. Because I have a belief. So let me run these all in by hand a little bit, and then we'll get to that next step. Oh, by the way, there are 10 bolts that I'm putting in here. When people talk about a 10 bolt rear end or a 12 bolt rear end, that's what they're talking about. When people talk about like an 8.5 inch rear end or a 9 inch rear end, they're actually talking about the ring gear that's inside the differential. That's harder to figure out from the outside. Sometimes there's a tag that'll tell you. This one doesn't have one. If it ever did, it's gone. But it's real easy to identify a 10 bolt, 12 bolt, whatever rear end by just looking at it from the outside and counting the number of bolts that go on the cover. And that is what people mean when they say that. So if you didn't know that, now you know. Although you may or may not be tuned into this channel. If you didn't know, but you know, I don't know. I don't know what you guys know. I'm sorry if I'm over-explaining. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm running these in just snug. Not super tight, just enough so I start to see the material squish out a little bit. Just gets a little bit of squish, but not running them into, not torquing them down. Just basically to where they mate with the surface and then maybe another quarter turn. And the reason why is RTV in my opinion, likes a preload. So if you do that and you get it to where it squishes out a little bit and then leave it sit overnight, let that RTV cure, turn into rubber. Then the next day, come out, torque everything to spec. I've had less problems with leaks. Actually, I don't think I've ever had one leak doing that. From being 100% honest, I can't recall ever having a differential leak doing it this way. Maybe you have. And maybe I'm an idiot and I'm just wasting my time. But I don't need this car today anyway. It's raining and I'm not driving the Grand National today. So, doing it this way, I get all these just snugged up, get a little bit to where I just see it squeezing out around the edge, and then leave it, let it dry overnight. Come back tomorrow, torque it down, and then fill it with fluid. So this is pretty much it for today, I think. Well, I can put this back up. Yeah, we can do that. Might as well. All right. So I take my my caps on my, take my tape back off. I'm taking, stick that back in. Okay. So watch that. Okay. That's pretty nice. We're good. That means. I think what I was about now. I think I can put on. Oh, we got another side of the box. I'm getting that much. Okay, no, that's doing anything there. Okay. We should go and see this. I don't know how. Well, I will say there's something enjoyable about doing it by hand. I don't know why exactly, but there is something. Till tomorrow. I'm gonna torque these up. You wanna know what the torque spec is? I'll put it right here. That's what I torqued them to. See you tomorrow. I got the Mobile One fluid from Rock Auto at $4 a jug. But I still have these bags in there. 75W90, which is the right stuff for this, from when I did the Subaru. So I'm gonna use these up. And one nice thing about these bags, don't get rid of them, because when you, like, these are like, I don't know, 14 bucks. If you can get the other stuff cheaper, or even the same stuff maybe in the regular bottles, usually a couple bucks less, just refill these. You only need one. So it gives up on you and then replace. Now this is really easy to fill. It's one of Harley's favorite jobs because all you do is squeeze it in until you see it dry. And once you have a drip come out of the fill plug, it's full. Cap it off. Check for leaks, go on about your day. Don't forget that while you do, I mean, you gotta cut these off here. But something me and Harley missed in the one video was underneath here, there's a seal. Let's take that seal off and put the cap back. Then you can fill to your heart's content. I don't know why it took them so long to come up with these bags. I mean, I've tried everything. Using the hard plastic bottles, swapping them out using try to clean this off a bit and see if we can tell if that's full, because I think it is. I gotta assume. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. sewer full. Up there, I gotta find my cap to plug that up. I've got so much stuff all over. I had everything all organized, and then everything went south. But the good news is, it doesn't appear to be leaking from the pinion, so we did one thing right today. And if you can do one thing right, then, well, you can do a second thing probably. Doesn't go in very far. That's kind of weird, but I'm sure I'm not gonna force it.